On Saturday, the 9th of May 2020, a mother of three went out for her daily exercise. Off she went with her son down to Parliament House and they walked up and down the street. They not only exercised their physical body but also their rights. Today, I have Renee Altakrity joining the show. She's a wife, a mum, and a voice for the people. Welcome to Yummy Mummy Podcast, a health and well-being show inspiring you to bring out your best self and live a delicious life. Hi Renee, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Hi Lisa, pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. How are you feeling since last week?
Yeah, look, Lisa, the whole week has been a real, awakening of a lot of emotions that I've never felt before. Up, down, raw, you name it. And so many things have happened, but more positive and incredible changes and shifts within my life. And a lot of people would probably think, what do you mean? You got arrested, you had your son ripped from your arms, you were locked up, but I've always been one to look at things in a positive light, and just to know that I was there, my son and I were there that day for a reason. And you can't look back on your life and say to yourself, I wish I hadn't done this. I wish I didn't do this. And I said it to my son, my eldest son, my 6-year-old, the other night, and he said, "Oh, Mum, if you could take back, things, would you?" And I said, "No, you can't live in regret, because that's going backwards. In order to move forward, you need to embrace your experience and grow upon it. That's how we grow as people." And the last week in my life has been one of the biggest growing experiences ever, in such a positive, direction. And it's actually been enlightening and empowering. And at no stage would I say that I was a victim, or my son and I were victims. We're actually just, prey of the dark lords, and we've become empowered from it. That's all I can say, really. But yeah, it's definitely been, quite a big roller coaster. And as I was talking on the phone with you through Messenger the other night, and heaps of real, huge awakening things, with the numbers and the decoding, and everything that's just meant to be has meant to be. So yeah, I'm embracing that stage now. Yeah.
That's really good. So, taking some steps back, I would love to know, with this virus, are you being affected directly at all with your family or friends that you know?
Look, I directed as such with my family. It has been quite a negative thing, the virus, the coronavirus, the COVID-19. You turn the TV on, and that was my pivotal sort of point. It was hearing just that fear mongering and that desperation to make Australia and the world fearful the minute you turn the TV on. And to me, that was my point of, this has to stop. My children are fearful, and me too. I was actually sucked into it as well. I was thinking, don't go to the parks, and don't touch this, and don't touch the railings. Give me your hands, let's sanitize. And I'm, all down the sort of organic route, and I don't like using sanitizers, and overwashing germs are actually really good for us. And I got sucked in there for a little bit. Even at one stage, my husband went to the hospital to visit his dad for not corona, but for something else. And I was cleaning his boots down when he came back to the house, and making him chuck his clothes in the washing machine and go have a shower and disinfect. And I'm thinking, why was I thinking like that? I'm not crazy. But I think I've always gone by the rule of question the narrative, especially when the narrator has a financial gain or interest in the whole plan, or the whole, pandemic, whatever you want to call it. So that's what got me hunting. I thought, who's behind this? And then people would send me videos of, clips of videos that were done back in the 2003, and back in 2008, somewhere along those timelines of this all happening in a movie. So if it wasn't planned, then how was that movie narrated as such as exactly what's happening today? So yeah, then going on to see doctors, Dr. Rashid Bhattar is amazing. I love his work. He's just so true. And to listen to someone who's a doctor, I'm no doctor, I'm not a scientist, but to listen to people who are experts in the field saying, no, this isn't right because of one, two, three. Look at it from the science. Look at it from even other doctors that were speaking up and saying, why are we being pressured to put COVID-19 on death certificates? And then to speak to, a client of mine who I know personally, who I've known for a while, and, she lost two of her aunties overseas in America, died of total unrelated COVID situation and COVID on the death certificate. So that's when we need to start questioning, thinking outside the box. Yeah. So I just think whenever someone has an interest of a financial interest or gain, you have to look further.
Yeah,
And
we may not be directly affected by being ill, but we're being directly affected financially. Our children are being affected because they can't go to their parks. You did speak about that before, about your son wanting to go to a skate park.
That's the other thing. Yeah, the whole. So me affected personally would be the physical, the gyms closing, the exercise, the routine, the good in the endorphins being released, and so that was quite frustrating for me. And of course the kids with the parks, and our whole life is outdoors. We are the biggest outdoor family you'll come across. If you drive down my street, like today, we're out there. My son's Isaac's got his new rollerblades on, and now he's going down the driveway. So we're always out, and we dine out a lot on the weekends with friends and family. So major impact on social, and for the kids too, because then the children start thinking, well, what's wrong? And this big scary virus, like it's going to kill us. And yeah, so it's the whole, concept then of having to educate them, saying, guys, look, it's a bit inflated. There's nothing to worry about. You just got to remember, you got plenty of zinc. I give them zinc, vitamin C, selenium, plenty of sunshine, and you guys will be as right as rain. So, the fact that they've got someone who's on top of all that on the natural side of things, I think helps a lot as well. They think, yep, mum's got it covered.
As a parent, we have to make certain that they're looked after, mind, body, spirit. Yeah.
That's
so
right.
It makes sense. Like we all went through that at the start. I agree to myself. I had that little bit of fear, and I started to listen to what mainstream media and the government was saying. And then, we all have a moment. So when was the moment for you when you realize enough is enough? I need to step up and speak up.
Well, I think for me, and strangely enough, I have a friend in Florida who actually got it. My best friend, Jody. I've known her since for 25 years, and, she sends me a message saying, Renee, I've got COVID-19. I am unwell, but I'm slowly getting better. And I said to her, look, you need to get some vitamins into you. She's a smoker. She does drink. She doesn't look after herself. She's high blood pressure. So she's on the scale already of being susceptible to catching any illness. Since she moved to America 2 years ago, she's been sick constantly with the flu and colds and viruses. So I told her, look, you need to get, vitamin C, zinc, as many nutrients into your body as you can, eat a wholesome diet, drink plenty of water, sunshine, everything that I do for myself and my family. She went very next day. They have IV clinics there. She went the very next day to the IV clinic, had massive doses of vitamin C and other vitamins, and felt better straight away. Then around that time, though, that's when I started questioning the narrative and looking at Dr. Rashid Bhattar. And a couple of weeks after that, we were booked to go back to Queensland for, I don't celebrate Easter, but for the Easter holidays. So we went to Queensland. on the morning of, I think it was the 12th of April, it might have been Easter Sunday morning. My husband actually drove back to Sydney, and I was sitting down with the boys, and we put um, Queen of Esther on, and that was a really strong story for me to watch at that point in time in my life. And that's when I called my husband. I think he might have hit, Ballina or Grafton, somewhere around there at that time. And I said to him, hun, this is how I'm feeling right now. You need to really just have my back and support me. I don't know what this means right now, but I've got a really strong feeling that I need to speak up. And, I'm one to speak my mind. I never sit in silence. If I've got something to say, I'll say it. Yes. So he sort of didn't understand at that point in time. And then, the next sort of week and a bit, we were there, every day earthing down at the beach and on the rocks with the boys, and, just praying for, show me, God, show me a sign. What am I meant to do? What do I feel? What's this feeling inside of me? Please lead me to where I'm meant to be. And then I got on to, I saw Exercising My Rights on Instagram, Victor Tay. Amazing guy. He's, really genuine good work and he's trying to help the community get through this as well. And it was all about exercising. So that was right up my alley to start with, exercising. And he'd been down there, walking up and down the street, Macquarie Street, Parliament House there, just exercising with his family. I think he's got 5 kids. He's got a bit of a tribe. And, slowly but surely, I think a few other people thought, that's a great idea. Be out in the sun, exercising, and we can hold a sign and do it. Whilst at the same time, though, not breaching the COVID restrictions. I reiterate, restrictions and guidelines. So, I thought, yep, that's it. This is clearly speaking to me. This is definitely something that's up my alley. So I went down there on the Saturday, and of course, walking out the door, Isaac had said, Mum, I want to come. And then we ended up doing a sign. I've told the story a few times, but just fast forwarding it, we all know what happened that day. And fast forwarding it a couple of nights ago, I said to Isaac, I was walking out of his room and he sleeps on the top bunk. And I said to him, Isaac, just a quick question, if you don't mind me asking, what made you ask Mum to come that day when we went down into the city? And he said, Mum, my head was really hurting, but I got this warm feeling in my heart and my body, and I knew I had to listen to God. And I came straight out of the room. I said, oh, okay, that's beautiful. I was speechless, and I came out of the room and I said to my husband, did you just hear what he said? He said, I did. And I was just like, he's 4. I had a sore head. So I broke it down as he was maybe warring with, it might have been that turmoil feeling of he, a couple of days before that, I said to him, we were talking about the incident. Every day I've been bringing it up in a soft way, trying to sort of let him know that I'm here for him if he needs to talk. And we were making dinner one night, and he said to me, Mum, I knew something was going to happen that day, and that's why I knew I needed to come with you and protect you. So, yeah.
Intuitive children they know. Yeah. They have a clear knowing. They know when fear is going to approach them, and he wasn't fearful that morning. He knew he needed to be there.
Yeah. And Lisa, he hasn't been fearful at all. Like, I had to go to the police station the other day, and I said to my husband, I really don't feel comfortable going to the police station. I actually have a knot in my stomach about going down there. Like, I have to see the police. Like, this is now my feeling of dealing with the police, that knotted feeling in my stomach. And Isaac turned around, he overheard, and he straight away said, Mum, I'm going to come with you. And I said, no, you're not coming anywhere near the police station with me, Isaac. You're staying home. You and Dad can finish off dinner. He said, no, but if they arrest you, Mum, I need to be there to help you. I said, well, no, they're not going to arrest me because I'm actually going there for,
Different reason.
other
Yeah.
matters. Yeah. So yeah, he's truly showing his strength, and I don't pressure him to feel that way or be that way. That's him,
Mm.
That's as a human being. And when, I don't know if I told you the other night when we briefly spoke, but I actually lost him in labour. We lost his heart rate. He was emergency Caesar. And when I woke up out of surgery from when they'd done the Caesar, I didn't even know if he was alive or not. They'd given him to my husband, and the first thing I said is my son, did my son make it? And he's been a fighter, from day dot,
Yeah.
like he truly is. So yeah, it's just the whole exercising just fit so well into what our family's about, being outside, outdoors. And as I've mentioned to other people, Lisa, all these parents who are questioning taking a 4-year-old down there, we've just got to bear in mind it wasn't a protest. We weren't shoulder to shoulder. It was families exercising. There was many children down there. And since my incident, people have taken more children down there to make a statement. We are exercising, holding signs. We should not be arrested or even approached by police for that. Um,
That's
and then, on top of it, we weren't in the wrong. We were within our rights. We weren't breaking their restrictions. So
yeah.
yeah, I think you either use the energy to survive, and you go into this anxiety mode, or you use your energy to thrive. And
Mm.
that's all I can, out of that, we've thrived, both of us. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why I wanted to bring you on. I wanted to show a different side of you, a different light of you, because all the interviews that you're doing, everyone just wants to know about, what happened the moment the police came up to you, and they want to know, um, uh,
Yeah.
your son, they want to, yeah, a lot of people think it was wrong what was happening because they think it was a protest that you took your son to. And I just want to say again to
Yeah.
everyone, it wasn't a protest. There is a
Yeah.
gentleman called Victor. He has a Facebook page called Exercising My Rights. And basically, he's exercising, walking up and down. He didn't ask people to
Yeah.
come along. People just caught on. What week was it when you caught on? Was it the fifth week, I think it was.
That's right. Yeah. And with that, we have to look what's being shown on TV these days. Look at the soapies. Like, I remember watching Home and Away back, 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago. And it comes on the TV now, and I die thinking, is this what we're teaching our children? Is this what we're teaching our children about, strong sexual innuendo, and that bullying is okay, and that backstabbing is okay, and that all these negative things which are teaching our children and raising our children in, the society of the darkness. But when I want to go and exercise with my son and hold a sign, and he's learning positive from me, the fact that, Bud, you've got a voice. You might be 4, but if you want your skate park back, you can write that on a sign. Well done. So I applaud him for that, for coming down with me that day. And yeah, just have a look in your own house before you throw stones, because look what your children are watching, look what you're teaching them, look at how you are with your friends and your family, and how you behave and conduct yourself. And I bet all of the people who are questioning taking my son there, I bet they're probably playing violent video games. They're locked inside their homes, and the children are in their room, up to God knows what, on social media, contacting this person, bullying, like, it's everywhere. But yet, I feel what I did was a positive thing. And
You made you made it known to people that there is trauma out there. And I think when people start to focus so much on one
yeah,
incident or one experience, they're forgetting about all the other trauma that's happening outside of that,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
children are being abused by their own parents, either it be family violence or molestation. You know,
Yeah.
there's so much going on around the whole world, you know, children that are used for slavery. And
Yeah.
it's not that they turned a blind eye, it's they've forgotten about it. So I feel like what happened to you last week is starting to help people to wake up and be aware, or to re-wake up and start realizing again, oh, that's right, this is all that's happening. And that's what I've been doing too, Renee. So anyone that's come to me and questioned me or written something about you, I have said, you know, I have reminded them, because I know them so well, reminded them what they've gone through, what their children have gone through. I mean, I went through trauma as a child, and I've turned out to be pretty all right. My daughter's experienced it too, and she's going to be a great thought leader too. Same with your
Yeah.
son Isaac. You're going to teach him to be able to know his rights, so that in future he's able to practice them. You
Yes,
know,
100%.
there's so many wonderful, amazing things about you. And one of them is you help the community, and this is what people don't know. So, can you share with us about what you do with through the NDIS, how you help the community?
Yeah, look, so when we were in Queensland back in December, January, yeah, my husband and I, we bought a property. Long-term goals, obviously, we've got three boys that are going to need to, support three wives, and they have families. They're not going to be able to work. So, and just the property market's a bit crazy sometimes. And so we thought, what a good opportunity. Let's buy property. Um, and then, yeah, we went down the avenue. We're renting it to a company who is funded by the NDIS scheme. So we've got two young boys in there at the moment in their youth. I think one's 8 and one's possibly 14. And yeah, they're boys that have pretty much been kicked out by their parents. They're not wanted. They're not
Mm.
showing the love. There might be abuse, drug abuse, sexual abuse in their lives. So they're living in our home now up there. So yeah, it's a good feeling to know that they've now got a beautiful roof over their heads. They're right near the beach. One's just gotten into surfing. The carer is going to help them look for work. There's a block of shops down a couple of 100 meters down the road. So to be able to help people, especially youths, because I've seen a lot of youths out on the streets and who come from abuse, and they just don't want to be home, or their parents just don't want them there.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
lovely thing
so
that you're providing, that you've offered it. You know, the way you think, your train of thoughts is wonderful.
yeah, look,
I think,
it's probably gonna get trashed. The house is probably gonna get trashed, but it
of
doesn't matter.
course,
It's a roof over their head, and hopefully they'll repair it. The company will repair it, but it doesn't matter.
no,
It's
it
just
doesn't matter. It just shows this other light of you, that you are out there to help the people. You're here to help other children, so they can, have an opportunity to grow into
yeah,
men
yeah,
without, without feeling abandoned for all their life. They actually
yeah,
feel like they're being looked after now. They've, like you said, a roof over their head, and they've got the beach. Oh my goodness, how amazing! I'm here in Melbourne
yeah.
for
I
this.
wish I lived there. Yeah, I wish I lived there. Yeah, a couple of 100 meters from the beach. So they've definitely got a good opportunity, and that's what it was about, giving them an opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, like with your help with the community and this Easter Sunday moment that helped you rise above, it's amazing. Thank you. And thank you for explaining it to us as well about that story. And, I've got a question here. Um, I've just got to quickly have a look, because you've already answered my questions as I was going to go through.
Yeah.
Um, all right, yeah. So, how long were you exercising for until the police stopped you? That's something that we don't really know.
Yeah, well,
Interesting one.
from the videos, it probably looks like I was only there for 10 minutes, but I arrived about 2:30, 2:40. Let's say 2:40, worst case scenario, and I was arrested at 3:50. So that places me there for about an hour and 10 minutes exercising.
And
Yeah.
in those restrictive guidelines, does it say anything there about how long we should be exercising for?
Not at all. If I
Oh,
want to walk all day, I can. If I want to stay there overnight and walk, I can.
yeah. And what about like
You know,
kilometre radius from where our home is. Does it say anything in our directions of where we're
Oh,
allowed
look,
to exercise?
no, it doesn't stipulate where. I think it's a 50 kilometre. I don't know if New South Wales, I know probably more of the Queensland stuff because I've spent more time there this year than here. But I'm pretty sure it's something to the effect of 50 kilometres. And my residence here is definitely within that. So nothing breached there.
Yeah, so
And
I
definitely didn't breach the 1.5 metre distance with I mean, I'm allowed to be there with my son. He's in my household. We were holding hands clearly, walking up and down the street. We're even dancing at some stages, having fun together. And yeah, at no point in time can I recall breaching the 1.5 metre distance. And it was the first time I met Victor, so, and anyone else there for that matter. And it's good. Now now I'm actually in touch with some of the people from there. I've made friends from exercising down there that day, all
yeah,
around the world actually. I think I made friends from all around the world. Yeah.
I just think it's really important that we let people be aware that these rules are guidelines that they've
Yeah.
created. And if you are going to follow it, you get a copy, print them off, read it, and understand it. Because, like we've just explained
Mm,
now, that you are allowed to go for a walk anywhere within how many kilometres. You've got to look into it. My ones, the Victorian ones, I didn't see anything saying about distance. I still go along and do my own thing, Renee. I still go to my shops,
yeah.
which, oh, how many train stops away? I'm about a 45-minute distance from where I do my grocery shopping. And actually, my park around the corner hasn't been um, barricaded like a lot of them have with actual tape. There's no signs on my one, but a lot of people are saying that their ones are. So I just find that's a bit odd. If they're going to do it on all the parks, why not do it the one where I'm near as well? Um,
Yeah.
so I feel like there's a lot of loopholes happening here
Yeah.
with what the
And
government's
then,
putting forward.
yeah, again, I just think this is where part of my journey, guys, started with the Knowing Your Rights group as well. And that's probably the key factor in all of this and why I did feel confident going down there. Number one, I wasn't breaking their restrictions, which I don't agree with, by the way, but I was following all of them. So I wasn't ignorant to any of it. And number two, knowing your actual constitutional rights, the law, which exceeds anything, where there's contraindication between an act, a legislation, a rule, a guideline, and the law. If there's a grey area, you always revert back to the law.
Mhm.
That's my understanding. So I just urge everyone to go over to knowyourrightsgroup.com.au. Mike Palmer over there gives some really powerful information based on our actual rights and within the law. So not looking at, this restriction that was placed by the health minister or the minister of health, because that's actually, in my knowledge, not binding. Because if you want something to take place on a biosecurity, it should have been passed through the Governor General and then by his council. That was never done. So I question the authority on the pandemic, the Biosecurities Act that was put in place. And everyone else can do their own research from here, but Know Your Rights group is a really good place to go to. And there's some videos surrounding the actual coronavirus legislation that they've passed. So yeah, definitely go on and have a look, and you'll feel a lot more confident. And I think my whole feelings and movement is about how the police presence is, I suppose you could say, felt by each individual. And everyone's got this fear about police. And I just want to say, you need to reverse the tables, because we shouldn't be fearing them. They're on our payroll.
Mm.
They're our public servants. They're a servant for us. And at no point in time should we feel bullied, intimidated, or feel threatened by the men in blue with guns, or the women in blue, in my case, with guns. They have no authority to come and bully us and intimidate us, ask us for a name, unless we're committing a criminal act where we're causing injury or damage to any person or living person or anyone's property, then there is no need to be approached. And I've seen a lot of people in videos, if police have approached them, they've actually said back to them, sorry, what's your name? What's your badge number? What's your address?
Mm-hmm.
So at no, I think we really need to focus on that and look at the power of police, which what power they have is to just enforce the actual true law, not legislations. They're
Mm-hmm.
just guidelines and rules. And look, I do urge people, if you are feeling unwell, stay at home, whether it be a flu, whether it be tonsillitis, stay at home, practice good hygiene. It's all common sense. As I said, Jodie, my friend in Florida, had it. She lives with her 3 children and a husband, co-inhabited the house the whole 3 weeks she was unwell, shared bathrooms, shared kitchens, probably shared cups for all we know, and not one of her family members caught the virus. So, and as I said, she was immune compromised from the start from her health conditions. Yeah, if we focus on that, and then you start questioning, well, why were parks shut down? Why were schools basically, you were told not to take your child to school when children are asymptomatic anyway and don't actually pass on or can't pass the virus on? So, yeah, it's not being ignorant leaving your house. If you feel well, if you're fit, if you know your immune system is good and you're doing all the right things to keep yourself healthy, then, people shouldn't be locked down because of that. The unwell, the vulnerable, and people who want to feel scared about the virus, stay at home by all means. But at no stage, I really disagree with the actions taken from, the country and all countries in that case. By locking everyone down.
Yeah, and
So
locking everyone down. I mean, I've got you on because we're parents, and what Isaac went through, and like other kids are going through in this lockdown. As a parent, I'd like us to talk about ways to help our children through this because we are still experiencing it, even though very soon schools in Victoria are going to be opening up again. Schools in Queensland, they're back to school,
yeah,
but there's still other
yeah,
restrictions like going to the movies and
yeah.
venues not being open, restaurants being open for a small amount of people. So, how do we help our kids when they are asking those questions or when they're feeling insecure or fearful or anxiety themselves? How are we going to help them as parents?
Look, I think definitely love. You can't go wrong with showing love to your children. And extra love in times like that and extra attention is, another positive way to enforce that it's not your fault. This is just something that was meant to happen. It was planned. So, you've got to go with that. You just and reinforcing that we're going to get through this. And if you keep that light on and you stay focused and stay together close as a family, and I know through, this whole, shutdown, families have been torn apart. And, I think that's another part of the agenda. But anyway, I think just staying close together as a family, drawing together, drawing on what beliefs you have, meditating even, praying, everyone reacts differently, but you have to use the opportunity to guide your children in a positive way, the right way, and within the law. And yeah, just reinforce that you're going to get through it.
Mm.
And you're part of history here. Like we're part of history.
Right, and when
So
we look back, especially with these kids, I think I'd like to add a little bit that I think it it's important for us to do things so that when we do look back, because these children, when they're in high school, they're going to be asked those questions. What did you do then? And
yeah,
they're going to write their little journals. I know my daughter's doing a coronavirus journal, and and I read her journal entries, and sometimes like, oh no, I don't want that to be written every
yeah,
day. I'm going to change
yeah,
that because they're actually just reflecting us. So I'm like, oh,
yeah.
she picked up something from me. Let's get out and go for a bike ride, and let's yeah
Well, I'm laughing because if I say what you said, you hit the nail on the head with the hammer with they're reflecting us, because my kids say, oh, this coronavirus crap. Like that's what they say, the coronavirus crap. They don't believe it. They don't believe it.
My daughter, we
And
she started.
it's probably good. I mean, I think my eldest son is throwing out a shit word in there too. I'm like, hey, what's your language there? But
Yeah.
that's their thoughts. But they have been frustrated with the whole, the park, the skate park. That's been
Yeah.
really frustrating.
And it is
And
important
look,
to have laughter. I mean, it's good to laugh about this. I know we're in this, we are in this all together, as they say. We're all in different boats, same storm, because we're all experiencing it differently. But we do have to have a sense of humor about it too. We can't be always so stern about it and researching. We need to have time out as well. I was going to say, as
yeah,
I was laughing, so we take public transport, and if someone sneezes or someone coughs, my daughters start singing coronavirus, coronavirus. I'm like, shh, just keep it down, because you don't know who around is fearful and scared and who's going to turn around and
yeah,
bark at us. But it hasn't happened.
yeah,
People have actually laughed at us, and they just like go, oh yeah, roll their eyes. So luckily we've been
yeah,
around people that are also understanding our sense of humor. Um,
yeah,
yeah, like, so we gotta be happy in this. So we got to take breaks as well. So for those that are watching and listening, and they're doing all this research, like when we were speaking, you went down that rabbit hole. 7 weeks ago till now, you've really, I mean, you've
yeah,
got books and you
yeah.
listen to podcasts. So what's some things that you do to take yourself away from that so you can realign yourself? Like, what's some activities that you're doing, or just for self nurture and self care?
Yeah, look, definitely walking. I've got some really nice tracks around in my house. So I feel for me, and I've been in Queensland a lot this year as well. So, and Isaac and I actually going back together on another trip in a couple of weeks' time if they stop cancelling my flights. But I just really think for me, it's the nature, like, the trees, the grass, the earthing components. So the water, just being with nature, and also just seeing the kids be kids, and not caring. Like, it's, yeah, you kind of get to a point where it is like life's hectic, especially if you're running a business, you've got kids and you've got school pickup, drop offs, cooking dinner, and you got to meet timelines. Um, for me, I've found it hard to meditate. So that's because I'm such a racy person. I'm always go, 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 go. And that's probably why my adrenal glands are running on high. But for me, it's just definitely exercise and that earthing component. The beach is definitely my go-to place.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm
I
looking
can
forward to
definitely
getting that
sense why
again.
why when hearing about the lockdown, you would have been like, what? I need to get out. I need to exercise. You can't stop me from this.
Yeah,
And yeah, and we've
yeah,
got to learn that no,
definitely.
we can't be stopped. We are allowed to go out, and we have
Right.
our rights.
Yeah. And even when we've been riding down at, near the skate park and the boys have jumped on, I'm like, oh, well, like, I'm not going to stop them. I don't think coronavirus is lurking on the concrete and they're not kissing the concrete. And police have actually driven by and they've not stopped. So,
Okay.
I'm like, oh, you know what, boys, 5 minutes and then we're out of here. We'll keep bike riding. So, and it's just, yeah, they need an outlet too. Like, I don't believe in the iPads and being on the phones and watching TV. I mean, they're allowed to have a little bit of downtime during the day
Mm.
and watch some really basic stuff on Netflix. But other than that, like, right, go get your bike, get your helmets. We're constantly go, go, go. So
Yeah, I love
yeah,
that. I think, sometimes when my daughter doesn't, she gets a little bit addicted to being on the iPad, because I only give her an hour in the afternoon. And so if I
yep,
let her stay a little bit too long, it's like she has this attachment to it, and it's harder
yeah,
to get it off her. So I know a lot of parents that are going through this. The best trick to this is you turn off the Wi-Fi, because
yeah,
whatever's downloaded, they get to play it for a little bit longer.
yeah,
Put the bikes out first without them knowing. Turn the Wi-Fi off and stand outside, and you just watch them. Mom,
yeah,
Dad. They come out, and you're like, "Hi, look, I've got your bikes,
yeah,
your helmet.
yeah,
Let's do this." And they won't argue. Oh, they
No.
decided. If a child argues, well, send me an email,
Yeah,
yummypodcast
yeah,
at gmail.com. I want
yeah,
to hear about it because I'd love to equilibrate that and find a way
yeah.
to find the benefit in that drawback and help you and help the kids.
Yeah, definitely. No, look, they love being outside because it's earthing. You know, they say 20 minutes, half an hour minimum we need of earthing a day. And if the kids are inside, that's not going to do their immune systems any justice. And it's not just about the coronavirus, it's all viruses and illnesses. And we all know the effects of radiation. You know, so yeah, we've got to try and limit, I think, the radiation, and you know, just look at food as well. I think food's really important in behaviour with children. I'm not saying my kids aren't perfectly behaved, like they're crazy. They climb up on my roof. And that's my 6 and 4 year old. Like Isaac gets up on my roof, and they think that they're just King Kong. So the fact that, you know, I've got to sort of celebrate the fact that they are active, but at the same token, it's very stressful because I've always got to have my eye on them, and I can't sit. I don't actually sit and get to enjoy things. I'm always constantly putting out fires. One of the mums from school said,
Yeah.
Renee, you look like you're constantly putting out fires.
3 boys,
So,
yeah, all under the
yeah,
age of
under
6.
six.
And that makes
Yeah,
even more sense too. The day that you're going out for your exercise,
yes,
you got three
yeah,
boys, and yeah, you're taking one along with you. So the other two,
yeah,
it sort of, it gives a break to your husband as well.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
mums
And
and
that's
dads will
why,
understand
and
that.
he's really protective of the boys. My husband, like very protective. He's even to a point where he doesn't want me doing one thing with one without the other because he's worried about how, you know, one might feel left out, or, you know, and even taking them, like, because they've got a motorbike as well, and I taught them how to ride a motorbike. You know, and I actually taught them. My 6 year old was changing, you know, gears at 4. He was Isaac's age. You know, just incredible, you know, skills that they have. And these are things, you know, yep, they'll learn how to read a book and learn English and maths, but the balance, the coordination, the people skills, the social skills, these are skills that my children have had since such an early age. Like, people freak out when my 2.5 year old talks and say, "How old is he?" I'm like, 2.5, and he talks like a 4 year old. You know, and this is part of being the best mum you can be. And I don't think any mother would intentionally put their children
Right.
in harm's way. No mother in their right mind would go, "I'm going to put my child in harm's way just because I feel like it." Especially not a mother like me, who does everything to better off, you know, her life and her family's life. So yeah, getting back to the whole, you know, coordination and balance. You know, these, I think, skills, and along with knowing the rights that are, you know, really important for our kids because they take that into their future.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's things that you can't really. You meet some children at the school, and it's like, do they even talk? Do they have a personality? You know, what's being taught there at home? You
I think,
know,
being streetwise is something that is going to decline a bit as the
yeah,
next generation comes through because well, I wasn't let loose. My parents always had businesses where
yeah,
my sister and I would just be out on the streets, and we're the only girls too at that time.
yeah,
A lot of the girls always kept inside, and the boys were out, so I was a bit of a tomboy. And I'm very streetwise now, so is my sister. And to teach my daughter that it's different. So when we're on the street coming home from somewhere and the buses, it's really late and we have to walk home, I've been teaching her, when you're walking on one side and someone's coming towards you, walking towards you, don't feel any fear, cross the road, but make it look like you have to cross the road to get to the house on the other side. And that's something that I just learned to do when I was a kid. It wasn't something my mum and dad taught me. It was just like a
yeah,
feeling of what to do. So I'm now teaching her because when she's going to high school and she has to take
yeah,
public transport, I want to be able
yeah,
for her to feel comfortable. And when she's
yeah.
a late teen, because the things that I went through when I was 18, 19, heading out to nightclubs all by myself to meet my friends inside the nightclub, my parents had no
Yeah,
idea because they never experienced it, but I did.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's either I
We can
teach.
parent better. Yeah. Knowing, having that insight, it's like you can parent better. I mean, you might worry more because you're not naive to the fact, but you definitely can parent from a different level.
Yeah.
And I think it's about having that transparency with your kids as well, having that trust. And I know that day, 100%, Isaac trusted me, just him looking back at my face when I was in the back of the police wagon and him in the middle. He looked back at me and I knew he just trusted in me.
That's
He
right.
just knew.
I think
And
that,
that's because of our bond, we've got such a bond together. And I do with all the kids. You can just look at your child in the eye and know
yeah,
that mum says it's going to be okay. Even though he couldn't hear me, it was going to be okay.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think
but
the biggest
going back to that, just quickly, sorry, Lisa, going back to that, what I was going to say is my husband's very, I wouldn't say look, I'm not fearful when it comes to raising the children, and I probably push the limits a little bit with him, but he's very, oh, be careful, and very, more the delicate person. And he never mentioned anything about, when I walked out the door the day of, the ninth, he never said, no, no, don't take Isaac with you. Because I actually showed him where I was going, what I was doing. And he felt comfortable with that. And if it was anyone who was going to have an issue with it, it would have definitely been him. So yeah, and again, it takes the pressure off him a little bit too, where he needs having the three boys for a few hours. It's full on. It's very full on. It gives you grey hairs and you pull your hairs out.
I've just got one. I've got one child, and I know what that feels like. And you've got three
Yeah,
boys. Yeah, and they're probably
yeah.
missing. They're missing all their activities, as well. So they're going to be even
Martial
more
arts.
nervous.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So,
right.
so the one big thing we're going to end with is, where do we head people to? And you're saying that website, Know Your Rights. What's the website again?
So knowyourrightsgroup.com.au is really informative, and it's pretty spot on the money there. So, you might have watched the podcast today being in a mindset where, you're following what the orders are and what the guidelines are. But, if you feel well and you feel okay to be out, have a look at your actual rights and the law, and live your life based around that, and know within your heart that you're not hurting anybody, because we do have a duty of care to the public, our neighbours, and whatnot. That's, goes without saying. And if you're not feeling well, stay home. But otherwise, know your rights and get out there, and don't be scared of the police. They're there to help us, God willing. So that's probably where I'd ended on. And also check out, Victor Tay's Exercising My Rights. He's got some really good stuff on there. Have a watch of his videos. And just be open-minded. Don't be closed-minded, because you never get anywhere sitting on your couch and, with your hands under your butt and saying, no, I'm happy to sit here in, my unlawful house arrest. You don't get anywhere being like that. Try and have an awakening and touching into the truth. And, it's all about sort of, finding that balance as well. And yeah, don't let it consume your life, but at the same time, just be aware and don't put people down because of their opinions, and don't personally attack people, because the minute you start having that negative, judgmental impact, it actually affects you and not me. So all, the bits and pieces of, messages I've gotten that are negative, sorry to tell you guys, but they haven't even been read. They just get deleted and you get blocked, because I operate on a really good frequency and vibration. And if you're not on that frequency and vibration, then you don't need to be in my space. So
That negativity comes from fear themselves, because they're not aware,
yeah,
understanding. They're not being curious. So today, be curious. If you're watching this and listening to this and you come to the end of the podcast, be curious. Ask the
yeah,
questions. Yes, ask why did you do that? And now you've answered that, because that was the main questions. People wanted to know why. Now be curious to understand your rights. And you've really
yeah,
touched on that today and made people
yeah.
aware. I really hope that people do jump on that website. I am going to put it in the description for them to jump into that.
Great. Yep, great. Sounds good. And just I think I think the other thing I wasn't going to bring it up, but just all about the, I was labelled anti-vax and whatnot. And just to set the record straight, most of my friends and family do. It doesn't mean I hate them. I love them dearly, but I respect the fact that that's their choice. So I'm very pro-choice on that, and all about the medical freedom side of things. But yeah, just with the new flu vaccine that's come in, I don't know if you guys have actually seen, but people are waking up paralyzed all over the world from it, and it's pretty scary stuff. So have a look too. Don't just question your rights, but have a look when you're in the doctor's surgery and you've got this amazing doctor in front of you who has done half a day's study in his 6 to 8 years of studying medicine. He's only done half a day on vaccines, and that's generally just in how they're meant to administer it, but they don't actually know what's in it. If you were to ask a doctor list 5 ingredients that are in the vaccine, they wouldn't even be able to they wouldn't even know where to start. So do your research, not just on your rights, but with everything, because we're putting that into our bodies and our kids' bodies and our grandparents and our parents. So just be mindful that there are a few people that have, there's articles around the world, people are waking up paralyzed. And that's where one of my clients' aunties, she actually woke up paralyzed, and they believe it's from after a flu vaccine. So
Okay.
that's firsthand, So
Yeah.
yeah, just dig into everything.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just recently, I'm a holistic beauty therapist as well as what I do here, and also as a mentor. But when I am in sites, I'm in some groups that talk about their skin, and there was a 9-month-old baby that had eczema, really bad eczema,
Mm,
and they tried everything because they thought it was some sort of allergic reaction to gluten. And so, with my experience and my background education, I'm in this group just to help people be aware that, because my daughter has gluten, dairy, and soy reaction.
wow.
And what I've come to learn is she can't have eggs, specific eggs, because the chickens are being fed soy meal. So if the chicken's being fed soy, it does something to the eggs. I don't know the science behind it, but that's what's happening to her. She has a reaction to these eggs. So in
Right.
the end, this is years ago, I decided I'm just going to become plant-based, and it was other reasons too. So decided to cut the eggs out because the eggs from the chickens that weren't fed soy or weren't fed wheat or any gluten,
Yeah.
we weren't having any problems. But it was just hard
Right.
to find those eggs. So I thought we're just cutting that out and became plant based. So I've just said to
Right.
this particular person, are they allergic to eggs? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Now go look at the vaccines that your child has had because they use egg
Yeah.
proteins. They use chicken embryos.
MRC5. Yeah.
Exactly.
MRC5,
I'm
aborted
not
human fetus.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
don't do vaccinations, just have a look at the ingredients.
No.
I'm about pro choice as well, and not just about vaccinations, pro choice in
Mm.
the choice you make if you want to leave your house or not, if you want to stay in lockdown or not.
Yeah, again, that's another one. There's probably more risk being in a high impact car accident out on the road when you put your child in the car. But we don't go slamming parents for putting their kids in cars and getting from A to B. You know what I mean? And everything has a risk. And when the doctors say there's no risk, it's okay. Okay, were you prepared to put your license on the line for that? And they won't.
Yeah,
They won't.
do your research. Anything you're going to put in your
Yeah.
body and on your
Yeah.
body, like read the ingredients. Definitely, I'm a big one with ingredients of everything
Yeah.
that we buy
Yeah.
to eat or put on our body, even wash our hair, because gluten's in
Yeah.
everything, soy is in everything. So yeah, even with having a vaccination, ask for the little insert and study it and
Yeah.
read it. Yeah. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
It's actually taking responsibility of your temple, of your body.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's really being irresponsible when you haven't actually done that research, because it's like, okay, well, do you know what's in it? Thermosol, aluminium, mercury, aborted fetus cells. The concept and the idea of it's really great, but it just doesn't work because, I mean, hey, we all had chickenpox vaxes when we were young, but we still got the chickenpox. I actually got it
I
really,
did.
really bad. Yeah.
Nice big scars
Um,
to remind myself of that, actually.
Yeah, and then you hear of kids who are in an environment where the kids are broken out with chickenpox around them and they haven't got it, but they're not vaccinated because their immune systems are actually stronger because they haven't had the adjuvants in from the vaccines that have actually lowered their immune system. So yeah, there's quite a few things that people need to be aware of and looking at. And again, if you read the insert and feel comfortable to go ahead and do it, great,
Yeah.
but don't bag on someone else who has read the insert and decided they're really not comfortable doing it. Um, yeah, just know that you've made the right decision for your own family and don't pass judgment on other people. I think
Mm.
that's another message for today, not passing judgment because, we're not people to be judged. That's up
Yeah.
to the creator.
Let's embrace each other's differences rather than
Yeah.
divide.
Yeah, absolutely. Stand united, whatever the case may be. As I said, I've loved my family and friends, and most of them do it. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be on my wish list, my,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Always
all
lovely to
right,
chat with
Lisa.
you.
Yeah, lovely talking to you, and it's nice chatting to like-minded people. It's really good, and open people in a safe space. It's nice.
Yeah, I'm
Thanks for the
glad
opportunity.
you're welcome. I'm glad I was able to provide that for you because I definitely know you must be, being offered a lot of these opportunities, but to know who to trust, who to speak to. So what I'm going to do is
Yeah,
I'm going to read something out, which was sent to me by Monica C. Uh,
yeah,
yep, you know Monica, I think. Yeah, you do.
yeah.
Of course you did. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
So she gave me this, so I can do this at the end of our podcast. So this
yeah.
on behalf of myself and Renee. Notice to all media, persons, men and women, corporate, living or otherwise, the following interview is not to be, the past interview we've just done is not to be edited or used for corporate reasons, financial gain or other non-approved agendas under any circumstances without the express written consent from the living men and women who are directly involved in this video interview. Please feel free to share it as long as you are not part of media or gaining financially from doing so or part of any corporate structure. This is by the people, for the people, of the people, and shall always remain so, unless with express written consent from those directly involved in this interview. Failure to comply with the above mentioned notice will result in personal, private, criminal, and civil prosecutions.
Perfect. Amen. Well said. Agreed.
You're welcome. So thank you again so much for being here, and we will talk again.
Thank you.
I'll check in.
Yeah, we
How
will
you
do.
going?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
The Know Your Rights group is a community of passionate, like-minded people who are committed to informing and educating people about their rights. View their website at www.knowyourrightsgroup.com.au. Yummy Mummy podcast is self-funded. If you feel what I do is important and you would like to see more, please consider making a donation. paypal.me/Lisa Jane Hussey.